Hello, everyone. All right, so I have a message coming through. It's about the children, okay? And when you think about the state of the world and what's going on, it seems like our only hope is the children. Now, you're going to hear a lot of narratives about the children, they're different, and how things are getting worse and worse, and now the children, they lack the cognitive functioning to be able to think critically. They're not being educated properly. We're hearing a lot of stuff about these kids, which I can say I agree with to a certain degree. But I've been working with children recently, and it has opened my eyes to a lot of things we're not considering, we're not seeing. Okay, so as we're living our lives and we're on this spiritual journey, and basically, we're just learning to love ourselves. For those of you who don't call it this spiritual journey, you're just learning to love yourself. You're learning to set healthy boundaries, give to yourself, and not allow yourself to be taken advantage of, etc. Okay. As you do this, right, there's going to be a lot of things that happen that makes you want to look at it, that makes you want to look at the world like, oh my God, this is a lost cause. Because a lot of people you interact with, it's going to be disheartening, okay? And I've spoken about this already, but it's just the choices people are making that's keeping cycles going, that's encouraging the systems as they are, the norms that we've been indoctrinated into, and how people honestly think that they're not doing that, right? When they're literally doing it, and there's evidence that they're doing it, but they will explain to you through logic, through rationale, that it's the best thing to do. Okay. First of all, there's a lot of people who like to say things like, I'm not religious. I'm not a part of any kind of organized thinking. But everyone has certain beliefs. Everyone has a belief, right? You're either a theist or an atheist. It's literally that. And even an atheist has beliefs, right? So the foundation of everything we live by is a belief system. And even those who are theists, right, who has belief systems and they wear them proudly. And just know none of them are right or wrong here. That's not the point of what I'm saying. But what people are failing to realize is that things that are not presented as belief systems end up being your belief system. The fact that logic has become the norm, right? Make it make sense. Show me evidence. Show me proof. That's not a fact, right? That's an opinion. The fact that people don't realize that just being logical is a belief system, that's holding us back. We did not operate off of logic in our natural form. I need y'all to understand that, okay? So people who need things to make sense all the time are at a deficit, okay? Because they will pay attention to things that bear no meaning to the big picture. They will want to argue about the meaning of a word you use versus your overall point. They're going to want to argue that you're using the wrong word to make that point, that you're using the wrong word to describe this, and that will become the focus. And logic is what does this. It takes people off track. This is why mind control is so easy. The reason mind control or people are easily programmed, indoctrinated, and why propaganda works, why dogma is so effective, the reason is because logic. It's because being rational has become the God, or reasoning has become the God of our lives. Like, it needs to make sense, and I need a reason. But this is why you're being controlled, okay? Our natural state is energy. It doesn't feel right. I'm not doing it. Well, give me proof why you shouldn't do it. I don't need to give you shit. It doesn't feel right. I'm not doing it. And that's it. And we need to learn to move back into our natural state. I know that the GPS says go left, but I'm going to take a right. That's how we operate. Don't give me your reasons. I don't want your reasons. You're throwing me off. You messing with my natural state of being. You're messing with my flow here. You see what I'm saying? Like, that stuff can really be a handicap. And this is why we're getting so much people are autistic. Or we're starting to feel like some people are emotionally disconnected. It has a lot to do with that. This is a part of the patriarchal system. It's taking us off balance, y'all. It is taking us off balance. It's taking us away from our natural state. People don't know just how to feel what they feel and trust that. It's hard for people to even know what their intuition is. The more you experience, and I spoke on this recently in one of my videos, and I forget what I titled it, but I put it down below. I spoke about going out, experiencing, allowing yourself to experience. And that's what strengthens your intuition. And we'll get a lot of, nope, been there, done that. I'm not doing it again. I like my peace. I'm going to just stay to myself and people just leave me alone. I'm not going to experience. Okay. If that's the choice you're making, do you. But just know, the more you are experiencing, the stronger you become in whatever area you're trying to become better in. Okay. And it's just like a person doesn't go through basic training, right? If they're learning to become a part of some kind of tactical force, right? A police, military, whatever. They don't go through weeks or months of basic training just so that they can say, I passed basic training. No. They went through months of that because they now need to go out in the field after they pass basic training. They have to go out into the field, into the world, and actually show that the skills they were learning for all those months, they're able to apply them in real life. Okay, because just imagine if people were going through basic training just so when things actually go down, there's a big fire or there's a big fight or there's a standoff, there's a hostage situation. For all of the police officers or everyone who went through basic training to run and say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I went through so much in basic training. Why would I go do that? I've already learned what I needed to learn. Let me stay here in the precinct and protect myself. Does that make sense? Because this is what people are doing. I just need y'all to kind of understand what's happening. And just know that it is the person who is enlightened enough to understand that the reason you're going through so much is because it's making you better at what you do. It's literally making you stronger. This is how you end up becoming a whole person, and you don't identify with your experiences. You start understanding, wow, I went through all of that just so I can become who I am now. And any kind of situation, I am ready for it. I went through the training. I went through the actual real life experiences, and I am actually much better at what I do. None of this stuff scares me. So back to what I was saying about children, right? And I'm going to say this for me, because the more I experience life with adults, I become a little bit apathetic. It starts to bring up this feeling of apathy. Like, what's the purpose of all this crap? Like, seriously, because the people we're interacting with, no one is really learning anything. Everybody's like a robot. They'll say things in conversation, but when it's time to actually live life with these people who are preaching these ideas, like I hear people preach certain ideas. In theory, though, they love to have these intellectual conversations and they love to talk the talk. But when it's time to walk the walk, they can't apply it. And not only that, they're not aware that they're in a situation where they actually need to apply what they were just talking about. I can hear a person speak for like an hour about how, oh, religion is holding us back. And it's like the worst thing to happen to humanity. And it's like crippling our growth. Like I can hear people do stuff like this. And then they're living their life and they're following religious dogma. And then when you tell them, do you realize that this is what you're doing? They'll be like, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not religious. Okay, everything you're applying, specifically in your marriage, it's the same dogma you were just talking about. What are you talking about? But I'm not religious. Then where do you get these beliefs from? Why do you think that this is how the marriage should be? Why do you think this and this? Make it make sense to me. You're religious. No, I'm not. Okay, thank you. Bye. That's it. There's nothing else I can say to this person. And this is what's happening, right? And this is not only with religion. I use that as an example. I'm seeing this in everything. In politics, in education, in finance, right? Capitalism. That's another belief system that people have just adopted as if it's right. Well, we'll make more money this way, so we need to forget the consumers. I'll make more money this way, so, let's make sure we build this refrigerator or we build this car to break down in 5 years because we need the consumers to go buy another car. Well, why don't you just build a car that works for 20, 30 years? Well, then we won't have any consumers. And then the actual people who are being used and abused by these capitalistic beliefs, they encourage capitalism. They will fight for capitalism. And when I interact with kids, I see they're still innocent. They're still forming their own mind. And they're not as indoctrinated as adults. So, yes, it can get a little bit disheartening when dealing with adults in the real world. But when I go and I am interacting with kids, it's just so much beauty there. Because the biggest thing I'm learning is that they don't take your love, your empathy for granted. Children don't. Children, they understand how rare it is when someone actually cares and nurtures them from a place of true love. And I remember having this conversation with one of the classes that I was in. And I said, listen, y'all, I could be home watching my Netflix, drinking my tea, and putting together a puzzle. But I'm here because I love children. And I remember how they responded to that. It's like, wow, this lady actually cares. And sometimes I'll be in these classes and there'll be like dead silence because I'm substituting for their teacher. So their teacher is out and I'll be in the class. I'll be like, are y'all usually this quiet? And they'll be like, no, we just thought we couldn't talk. We thought, we had to be quiet. And I'll be like, no, y'all can talk as long as y'all not rowdy and doing all this crazy stuff. But this is usually in those classes where I set the ground rules in the beginning, right? Give me 2 minutes. Let me take roll. And then once I'm finished taking attendance, you guys can do what y'all want. But if in the 2 minutes y'all can't be quiet and have enough discipline to train yourself not to open your mouth for 2 minutes, that's going to let me know how I need to deal with y'all as a class. And it's always those classes who couldn't give me 2 minutes. They're quiet because they're afraid of disappointing me because I gave them a lecture from the heart. They couldn't do it and I had to discipline them, right? But then once I let them know, listen, go ahead, be free, and you could hear the exhale like, oh God, thank goodness we could talk, right? By the end of the class, I have like 6 people around my desk and we're just talking and laughing and they're just a joy to be around because they're still innocent and they're still forming their thoughts, right? On their own. The only thing is I'm noticing critical thinking is not encouraged, which is probably something that needs to change. But by the time they become adults, they'll be programmed to be just like the rest of these adults out here. That's scary to me. That is very scary because the people I'm bumping into, and it's usually a short-lived experience, right? Because they don't stay long. They expect people to be nice to them even though they're shit. It's like the worst people expect the best treatment. And it's this entitlement that it doesn't matter how I show up. You shouldn't let me get you to respond in a mean way. Absolutely not. The tides are turning. At this point, you're going to get the energy that I feel is justified in the moment. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, from your perspective, that's not my concern. I'm going to do what's right for me in every moment. You're going to get a shitty side of me if that's what you're giving me. And sometimes you can give me a shitty side. You will just get nothing. I'll stay neutral, right? I choose when I want to do this, though. It's up to me. This is me in my power. Okay? Sometimes you'll give me a shitty side. You might get a very pleasant side of me. I'm choosing this, though. I'm choosing this. I see that children, when you are very sweet to them, they actually understand she can actually switch up if I switch up. So I don't want to disappoint her. So let me keep a straight line. The children that are labeled as like bad or misbehaving children, right? The teachers will always leave these notes. This child may be a problem. This child may be a problem. Those are the ones that I find to be my favorite. And I'm not going to lie. I love those kids because I actually see their sweet side and I allow them to explore that side. Because I'll tell them, I know they say you're bad, but you're not a bad kid. You're actually very sweet. You just need some tender love and care. So come over here. Come here. Come sit right next to me because you're going to get a lot of my attention today. A lot of it. They blush. They blush. First they'll ask, what is TLC? What is TLC? And I'll have to tell them it's tender love and care. And then as soon as I say that, the rest of the class would be like, ooh. And it's so funny. But these are the experiences that I'm like, wow, okay, it gives me hope. It gives me hope for the future. So we do need to protect the little ones. We do. They're so innocent and they're just so pure still. And a lot of them, when they come to school, they're looking for that love they probably are not getting at home. And it's usually the ones that are labeled as bad. I'm telling you, they're the ones running up to me in the hallway. Hey, Miss C, giving me a hug. Do you have any snacks? Because I always have snacks. And then I give them whatever I have. And that's how, honestly, I feel like I was sent to do that, to remind me there's still hope. And there is still hope. There's also still hope with the adults, too. It's just the adults are stuck in their ways. It's like talking to a brick wall. Some of them are so emotionally disconnected. I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know what's going on with these people out here. A lot of people are not trying to tap into what they're feeling, are not trying to get to know themselves. We have to start doing the work. And I'm talking about the real work. And you have to start seeing the areas about yourself that you're denying to experience. And many of us think that that's protection. It is not. It's a cop-out. It's running away from the actual work. Okay, so pay attention as you're experiencing, what are you running from? Why are you running from it? If you were to embrace that experience, what could possibly happen? Okay? The art of detachment. I recently put a video about that. Maybe that's the missing link for some of you. Maybe you become too attached to experiences. Maybe that's why. Find out what the reason is, okay? Do the actual work. Guys, change comes when you acknowledge that change is necessary and needed in certain areas of your life, okay? Some areas change is not needed. Some areas you need to stand on business, right? But in some areas, change is necessary. We need to call ourselves out, okay? And I'm going to leave it there. Hope this was helpful. I'll talk to y'all soon.